MzeroAnation, Jason here. Welcome to Mock Checkride May, where today I'm taking you through a private pilot check ride. MzeroAnation, it is a fantastic day. It is the month of May, at least as of watching this. You could be listening to this well into the future, I realize, but every May we do a little thing I like to call Mock Checkride May. And my goal for this is I realize so many of you set out, and May works so perfectly, so many of you set out December, January saying, this is my year. This flying thing is for me. I'm going to get all this stuff done. I'm going to make this happen. You set all these goals. By May, some of you have soloed. Some of you are talking check rides. Some of you have already passed, right? So this is just a good precursor to what you have coming up. And even if you don't have a check ride coming up, I hope this video serves you. I hope last week served you as well. And like I share every week, if you need just that last little kick, maybe you need that full ground school, whatever it is, you know MzeroA is your full online ground school for the written test, for the check ride, but most importantly, making you that safe real-world pilot. I don't want you to buy it right away. I want you to try it. Make sure you love my teaching style, everything else, and it's for you. mzeroatrial.com to take a 2-week free trial of that, so you can check all of that out. Hey, I am going to be, as we go through this, I'm going to be reading to you from the book, Pass Your Private Pilot Check Ride. You can grab an audiobook or whatever you want as well, but this is actually very similar to how the audiobook works. I simply read you the book. I'm going to pause for a second and let you work through what you believe the most correct answers are. So I'll ask a question. There will be some awkward pauses here. And what you'll find is check rides are all about awkward pauses. Where are my people who've passed a check ride at? You know exactly what I'm talking about. A check ride is like, hopefully you've never been through a deposition, but if you've ever had the pleasure of going through a legal deposition, you know what your attorney always tells you: answer the question, only the question, and zip it. And that's what we work through here today. I'll ask the question, there'll be some awkward pauses, mostly to let you think about the answer and everything else, and then think about it in your head, then I'll deliver the correct answer for you. But back to that idea of those awkward pauses. Check ride examiners are going to ask questions, and they're going to kind of look through their plan of action, and they're going to look up for their next question. There's going to be awkward pauses. Just zip it and sit in the silence. And for people like myself, my kind of personality, that can be a struggle for. So I'd encourage you all to do such. If you've done check ride before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's dive right into the questions. Let's start with a basic one. What is a stall? What is a stall? A stall is a sudden loss of lift when the angle of attack increases to a point where the flow of air breaks away from the wing or airfoil, causing it to drop. We reach that critical angle of attack. Now, many of you, myself included, thought early on when I was a 14-year-old kid, I thought stalls had to do something with the engine. We learned stalls are purely aerodynamic, right? All right, let's look through some more here. Define the following V-speeds. You ready? I want to know the definition, and I want to know the numeric value for your aircraft. VFE. What does it mean, and what is the number for your aircraft? VFE is your maximum flaps extended speed. What's that number for your aircraft? Some of you might have two numbers, right? 10 degrees can be within 110, but no more than 10 degrees until 80 or whatever. Sometimes you might have two numbers you need to remember. My Cirrus pilots, you have a number for 50%. At least for the SR-22s that I'm flying, it's 150 knots, and then 110 knots for full flaps. You need to know those numbers, and there may be two numbers involved in that. It's not enough just to say, oh, the white arc, because I'll tell you, at least on 2-3 Mike Zulu, the white arc applies to maximum flaps. So the white arc on my airspeed indicator doesn't actually fall up to 110, and it is 110 for the first 10 degrees of flaps. The white arc only goes up to the 90 or whatever it is. It doesn't go up to the 110 because it's the first 10 degrees. Let's look at another one here. What's VNE? What's VNE? VNE is your never exceed speed. What is it on your aircraft? What's VX? What is VX? VX is the best angle of climb. What's that speed on your aircraft? Then, by the way, what's VY? That's the next question, right? If I ask you VX, the next question will be, what is VY? VY is your best rate of climb. How do I remember that? An X makes an angle, right? An X is an angle. So my best angle, the letter X is an angle compared to the letter Y, I guess, lowercase y. Vx is my best angle of climb. Vy, my best rate of climb. What's the difference between those two, by the way? What's the difference between Vx and Vy? When would you use one over the other? I would use Vx, my best angle, right, to get up and over an obstacle quickly. Vy, my best rate. Rate has to do with time. That's my best climb over time. So when I'm departing on a cross country, I'll depart on my Vy because I want to cover as much ground as possible while still climbing. Vx is just to get up as quickly as possible. Vx versus Vy. We're going to keep just kind of jumping around topics here, if that's okay with you all too. Let's see. What is basic empty weight? What is the definition of basic empty weight? Basic empty weight is the weight of the airplane with all optional equipment included. In most modern airplanes, the manufacturer includes full oil in the basic empty weight. What is the function of the flaps? What is the function of the flaps? Flaps are used to slow our airplane down while increasing lift, right? We come in to land. I want to slow down. They're not like speed brakes. Speed brakes just produce drag. Flaps produce lift because they extend the wing. They make the wing, they make the surface area of the wing larger while also adding some drag to the equation. Here's a fun one. What type of engine does your aircraft have? What type of engine does your aircraft have? And again, I'll just give you what ours has here. Here's what a good answer would sound like. We have a horizontally opposed, air-cooled, normally aspirated, direct drive, Lycoming engine. What does all that mean? Horizontally opposed, that's the position of the pistons. They rest horizontally as opposed to vertically. Air-cooled, air passes over the engine to cool it through cooling fins and engine baffling. Normally aspirated, it means sometimes called naturally aspirated. The engine breathes without the help of a turbocharger. Direct drive, the pistons turn a crankshaft which is connected directly to the propeller. Lycoming engine, that's just the manufacturer of it. But these are the things we need to practice. You're going to be quizzed on your fuel system, your electrical system, how it works. What happens if you lose bus 1? What happens if you lose bus 2? Why do we even have 2 buses? How does that apply to us? Hey, will you real quick, speaking of systems, will you define for me the definition of detonation? What is detonation? Don't confuse it with its little brother, well, they're not little by any means, maybe they're twins, pre-ignition. Detonation, pre-ignition. Similar, but not exactly the same thing. Here it is from the book. Detonation is an uncontrolled firing of the fuel-air mixture within a cylinder, usually caused by excessive temperatures. Also, using lower fuel grades than recommended is a perfect ingredient for causing detonation. This is why we always go a grade up in fuel if we have to. What is then pre-ignition? Pre-ignition occurs when the fuel-to-air mixture ignites prematurely. Premature burning is usually caused by a residual hot spot in the combustion chamber often created by a small carbon deposit on a spark plug. Here's the big question. If either detonation, pre-ignition, if either of those is detected, what should you do? You should discontinue the flight ASAP. Both detonation and pre-ignition can be devastating to engines and lead to an expensive repair bill. Hey, what are the ABCs of an engine failure in flight? What are the ABCs of an engine failure in flight? A is for airspeed. What's my best glide speed? B is my best landing area. Keep it in mind, it might be behind you or below you. And if you have a crazy flight instructor like myself that you fly with, I always put the perfect area right behind you or right below you to teach, because what happens is we get tunnel vision sometimes. That instructor pulls that throttle back to idle and you only look straight ahead, basically. You forget about behind you and below you. And then C is our checklist. Working through it in a flow checklist, verify with a physical checklist if time allows. Here's another acronym. What is CFIT? Letter C, F-I-T. CFIT. What is CFIT? CFIT is controlled flight into terrain. Controlled flight into terrain. In plain English, it's taking a perfectly good airplane and flying it into the side of a mountain, unfortunately. Define an aircraft accident. We're almost done here. Define for me an aircraft accident. According to the FAA and the NTSB, an accident is an occurrence associated with the operation of an aircraft which takes place between the time any person boards the aircraft with the intention of flight and all such persons have disembarked, and in which any person suffers death or serious injury, or in which the aircraft receives substantial damage. Okay, if that's an accident, the next question is, define an aircraft incident. This is fun. This is FAA definitions. You ready? An occurrence other than an accident, thanks for that FAA, other than an accident associated with the operation of an aircraft which affects or could affect the safety of operations. Well, one of the terms for an accident they defined is person suffers death or serious injury. So last question for you here. How does the FAA define serious injury? An injury which requires hospitalization of more than 48 hours, commencing within 7 days from the date the injury was received, results in a fracture of any bone except simple fractures, fingers, toes, nose, causes severe hemorrhages, nerve, muscle, or tendon damage, involves any internal organ, involves second or third degree burns, or any burns affecting more than 5% of the body's surface. If you really enjoyed listening to this and thought you did well, I do this for 2.5 hours on Audible. If you want to go, you can just search MzeroA or pass your private pilot checkride or instrument pilot checkride or commercial pilot checkride. You can listen to the whole thing. Where are my alumni out there that have listened to this book on repeat? Leave me a comment down below with this. You know, checkrides don't have to be so scary. This whole month, in fact, last week's video, we were talking about the ultimate checkride strategy. Go back and watch that video. Also, at the end of this month, the last day, May 31st, that is a Tuesday, I'm doing a live, live as in YouTube and Facebook. Live on YouTube and Facebook, mock checkride as well. I want you to check out. More details will be posted on Facebook, on YouTube, but on May 31st, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm doing another big mock check ride. We'll stream it live on YouTube, on Facebook. You won't want to miss it as well. We'll do private, instrument, commercial, CFI level questions. You won't want to miss it. That is May 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Put it on your calendars now. I'll be sending out details. In fact, by now, we'll probably have some details in the description of this video, of this podcast as well, so you can check all of that out. MzeroAnation, have a just blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember, a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.